Okay, it's been a long day. Spent the day in Los Angeles, which I live in the suburbs now, so I don't spend that much time in Los Angeles, but I spent a lot of time here today. Forgotten how angry everybody is up here, bitter, overworked, overtaxed, overburdened with everything, and so now I'm at Costco, still in Marina Del Rey area, and I'm going to fill up with gas, and that's been quite a pleasure. I actually became a Costco member because of the price of gas. Quite a bit cheaper than you can get around here, and of course Southern California, we have some of the highest price gas in the country, so that's a special treat. And then I'm also picking up a prescription, and that's probably about it. But I wanted to address something that's happened over the past few days. I posted a video explaining, number one, why I do what I do, posting the political comments and posting, you know, the declassified documents, posting, you know, videos to just talk about what the government is doing. And I was really surprised at the feedback that I got. A lot of Black people I know, if not most, seem to be extremely discontent with their government. But they're discontent no matter what. You know, Ferguson burned while Obama was in office. I mean, and now you've got people going around attacking people for wearing a certain hat as if there's no possible reason that someone could support the president except they're racist. Now, if you follow everything that's going on, you know that there's a huge number of people that are not even white that support the president, yet people still have this idea in their mind that you must be racist. So if you're Black and you support him, then they can't really call you racist. So I've been called a fool, I've been called crazy, I've been told something must be wrong with me, I've been called a tranny, I've been called a coon, I've been called a sellout, a turncoat. People actually have tried to revoke my Black card. It is unbelievable. And I call bullshit and high-level ignorance on all of those comments, not because I care. I don't care. If someone thinks I'm stupid, if they think I'm crazy, that's not what bothers me. What bothers me is I can go on back and forth for 5 posts, 10 posts, 20 posts, 30 posts, 60 posts, 100 posts, and I still cannot get these people to give me one single argument on the merits and on the facts. They only want to call me names. They only want to try to find information and evidence to support the lie, whatever that may be. And I don't get it. I don't know how someone could be so invested in a theory, unproven, untested. They're so invested in the theory that when you post the truth right in front of their face, things that they should recognize as being true just because of the way that their life goes, they sort of lose it. There's a reason why this is called Trump derangement syndrome, because people lose their ability to reason, and they don't really know why. And I'll tell people over and over and over again, okay, now that you've called me your names, any first grader can do that. Why don't you give me some information based on the facts? Just because you think that Obama is the one that's responsible for a low Black unemployment rate doesn't mean that you can't support Trump now, because it's still low and getting lower. But that's the way that's the way they react. Just because you support the prison reform bill, and here's a little dirty secret, I don't really support it. I understand that there's a lot of reasons why people have gotten locked up. I was really, you know, I almost turned on the whole idea that I just recently uncovered the absolute proof that the government had been responsible for drug dealing. So it's like you've got the government who actually is responsible for drug dealing. They admit this, and then they turn around and lock up people for drug dealing. That kind of changed my mind a little bit, but I'll just say historically I wasn't a huge supporter, because I know when people break the law, they break the law. But that kind of all changed when I said, you know, if someone that's CIA or says they're CIA connected and they're telling you to do this and they're having you do this, did you really know you were breaking the law? Did you think that it was going to be okay? What did they tell people? I probably will do some interviews about this and see if I can find out what it was that people were told, because clearly this sort of rumor has been out there for a really long time. So if you've got people who are locked up because somebody told them that it would be fine, that changes the whole game, the whole game. I kind of digress a little bit because I was going to say, I know that the people of this country wanted prison reform that gave some relief to people who were serving mandatory sentences that were really unfair and off parity with cocaine. They were serving mandatory sentences for crack that were off parity with cocaine. And I kind of said, you know what, you knew you were breaking the law. You know, you knew that there was a mandatory sentence connected. And so it wasn't that I was against them getting another chance, but I wasn't going to lose any sleep if there wasn't a bill passed for that. Now, like I said, whole new deal. I'm reconsidering. So everyone who gets new information, who gets, you know, new input, new data, and they don't want to reconsider, they're just like dug in on their opinions, that should be a hint to you that there's something wrong. Because my mind started to change about the prison reform when I realized that a lot of these people were locked up by the very same people who had them dealing. This is a whole really different kind of ball game. I'm going to do a whole separate video on that. But what I want to say is that if, you know, when I ask people, I'm like, why am I crazy? What is it that makes me a fool? What is it that makes me dumb? What is it that makes me have no sense? And they can't even tell me. The only thing they can say is because you support Trump. If you take the name off and you take the label off and you take all of the media bullshit out of this conversation and you just ask, what are the policies? Then we don't have a president. The policies are low taxes. People, stop pretending you didn't get a tax cut. If you have a regular W-2 job, you're a W-2 employee, you know damn well you got a tax cut. So stop faking it. Stop pretending just so you can hold on to that narrative. Maybe some people who are self-employed haven't necessarily seen that yet. But if you have a day job, you got a tax cut. So don't play. And if we have that many people out there who actually don't have a W-2 job, then how good was the economy to begin with? I mean, because that most people do work for someone else. There's nothing wrong with being self-employed. I'm not knocking that. Listen, black business starts are up 400%. But I'm saying that if you're so desperate to hold on to the lie that you ignore the truth, there's something wrong. So what if you take the name off, you take the label off, and you just say, I'm supporting lower taxes. I'm supporting Black and Hispanic unemployment at the lowest it's ever been recorded. I'm supporting prison reform because it gives people who were locked up by the same government who got them in trouble to begin with, I want to give them a second chance, and I'm supporting that. I'm supporting deregulation and pipelines because now gas prices are lower than they've been in I don't know how many years. If you just talk about the policies that you support and take the name out of it, what are you left with? I challenge people, listen, I'm not offended by the names, but I am doing this because I care about this issue. I want people to know what their government is up to. I want them to vote according to their values. I know there's a whole ton of people out there that do not think that 9 months is a damn abortion. That's not an abortion, that is murder. Yet you have this Democrat governor in New York who's holding up the budget. He's holding up the budget, and I'm not saying that this is all Democrats. This man is a sicko, as far as I'm concerned. I hope to God there are not a whole bunch of people in Congress that support an abortion at 9 months. Up until the baby is born, they say a woman has a right to choose. I can guarantee you there's no Republicans anywhere supporting this. And I'll tell you, this is not a Democrat or Republican issue, but there are some things that are so extreme and so outrageous that everyone has to be called out on it. And it's almost as if no matter what a Democrat does, it's okay because they're a Democrat. Or you don't want to say anything. You don't want to call them out because that might make someone vote Republican. This is not how it's supposed to work. And I want people to, if you're feeling triggered and you need to get the name calling off of your chest, get the name calling off of your chest, but hold yourself to a high enough standard that you can actually have a reasonable, logical conversation based on facts and evidence. You have to live an evidence-based life, or you're going to end up in a place where you were not trying to go. You have your conclusions, the conclusions that you reach about people, about life, about things, about society, have to be based on some evidence that can be sort of put together, and the conclusion has to match that. You cannot just pull stuff out of your ass and say it is, and then keep insisting that it is, and then call names for everyone who disputes you and asks you to prove it. There's no way to live. It's no way to conduct yourself. It's no way to get what you want. It's no way to have the life that you want. It's a way to sit around and be angry and bitter about things that you cannot change, cannot control. And I challenge people, hold yourself to a higher standard than that. I'm going to try to keep this Facebook time span friendly. Please give me your comments, your feedback, share. I want to hear what you have to say, but I want to get to the issue. Listen, you got to call names, call names. I'm going to keep doing this. I feel like this issue is important enough that I'm going to keep talking about it until somebody either gives me some actual facts that changes my mind, like what happened with the prison reform, or they just admit that they're stuck where they are because they want to be stuck there, not because it's reasonable. Thanks for listening.